Good evening, everybody. This is Davey Jones with the Coaches Show from Pizza Hut Bucyrus. It's Coaches Corner West with Bucyrus, Winford, and Buckeye Central in that order. And we'll be talking with the head football coaches of all three programs and some of the players and getting their pick on a little bit of what happened last week and what we expect to happen next week. Our show brought to you in part tonight on WQEL, as well as the WQEL and Crawford County Now Facebook pages, in part by Adam Weisner and everybody at Advanced Fiber Technology, Coach Tim Plumley at Mohegan Sports Medicine and Rehabilitation, Matt Studer, Spitzer, Chrysler Dodge, Jeep Ram Kia, just a mile east of the Richland Mall, Rob West at Edgefield Animal Clinic in Marion, Matt Ramsey, John Ziegler, Drew Young, Frank Heinlein, and everybody at Bucyrus Blades, serving worldwide markets from Bucyrus since 1951. And Roger Brown at Winks Lock and Safe, South Poplar Street at West Warren, Bucyrus. Coach Tim Plumley joins us right now. Probably one of the best games we've done on the radio all season long. I realize that your team and Buckeye Central haven't had a lot of wins this year, but this was a very competitive game, back and forth. As far as an entertainment factor on the radio, it was excellent. 37-34 final score.
Oh, sure. It was a little nerve-wracking on the field as well.
I can imagine.
Near the end, but I think pretty evenly matched teams, and all the kids on the field were playing hard, and some big plays were made, a few mistakes, but that's high school football.
Games tied at 7-7, 14-14, and then Bucyrus goes in at halftime with a 21-20 lead. And you had a lot of guys that got involved in the scoring. Your scoring started off early with a 3-yard touchdown pass from Bayless to Cam Lewis.
Yeah, that one, we had a little fortune there that it was a tip ball, and Cam caught it in the back of the end zone. So that came after a turnover, which was huge, and just got us a little momentum and kind of carried that through the first half.
When we look at the scoring, you're going to see a little bit went back and forth. Second quarter, a 2-yard touchdown run by Randy Banks.
Oh, yeah, that run by Randy was probably a little bit longer, and that was
29.
29.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember right.
Yeah, it was 3rd and 9, and we lined him up at quarterback, which we've done a few times, but not a whole lot. And as a run,
was that confusing to the defense?
I think it might have been. It was not in a position where you would think that you might put him in, because he's a very dynamic runner and is elusive and hard to catch.
You guys got the run game going pretty good in this game. You know, the passing. In fact, it was what you wanted to have all season long. Pretty equal.
Sure, yeah. We've talked about it just about every week, that needing to run the ball a little bit more than what we had, and the guys up front did a nice job, and Randy and Blaine, ran the ball real well. So it's amazing to having a little bit of balance to your offense, and we needed it, because obviously it was a close game, and it helps to possess the ball a little bit.
All right, Buckeye come right back though with 3 plays to answer with a 32-yard touchdown pass. Derek Steen to Steven This kid graduate's going to be good for me. Sostakowski.
Yes, he's a very dynamic player. He's been hurt, been out.
He came back about 6 weeks, week 6.
Yep. So, and he's really a good player. Derek's has had a great year throwing the ball, and we struggled to tackle him. So, I think it was probably just a hitch, and he broke a tackle and took it to the house.
All right. Then Blaine Barlow up the middle for a 75-yard touchdown run. And you didn't have too many of those this year.
No, and that play was nice. We got it blocked up real well. Blaine squirted through a pretty small hole, and once he got through there, he split him with his speed.
All right. And everybody's been talking about Manny Mullins. In fact, I checked it out. Manny's number 2 in the league in rushing. And he got a 4-yard touchdown against you with just 3 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, Manny's a great kid, and I don't know him well, but I was watching pregame, and he was over there, trying to get his team fired up, and I watched him on film. He's a tough kid, so Manny just looks to be like a true football player.
They missed an extra point, and that was probably critical. You go in at halftime ahead 21-20. And then in the third quarter, Ethan Huff, a 20-yard field goal, which ultimately was the end of the football game. I mean, not the end of the football game, but it was the difference in the game.
Sure, at the time when you kick a field goal, you're not thinking necessarily that it will be the difference in the game, but it was an opportunity for us to get some points. I have a lot of confidence in Ethan. We kind of give him a hard time sometimes, but
I'm giving him a hard time because he didn't watch or listen to the Cleveland Indians last night. Or you get your chance at the mic, buddy.
But I really didn't. I really didn't hesitate mentally. From our position on the field there that if we didn't get the first down, we were going to kick a field goal.
All right. Then let's see. In the fourth quarter, Mullins runs in again. 24. It was a two-yard touchdown. Buckeye goes up 27-24. Bucyrus drove 63 yards on 11 plays, with Blaine Barlow scoring on a 2-yard run with 3:12 left. It's 37-27.
As a coach, I really liked that drive. It was 11 plays.
Took a lot of time.
Yes, and we needed to get control of the game a little bit. So defense, Buckeye had scored, and it just was nice to take control of the game.
So how much time was left at that point?
I'm not sure exactly how much time, but I remember that feeling good after that drive because it kind of slowed down their pace of their offense and maybe took a little bit of air out of their sails.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I heard that, I thought, and I remembered how much time it was at the time, but I was thinking, okay, Bucyrus has won this football game. That wasn't necessarily the case.
No. We had a 10-point lead. It was 37-27. And
they made it interesting.
Yes, and you go back and forth. We'd played a little bit more man coverage, and then when we got that 10-point lead, we played more of a zone, and sometimes it wasn't not.
Well, they got a good kick return to begin with.
Yes, they got a good kick return, and then their kids made some plays, and ours didn't, and they put it in the end zone, and made it for a kind of a nerve-wracking last minute or two.
Yeah, well, the whole thing got stopped when Malachi intercepted a pass, and that kind of put the cap on the end of the ball.
Yeah, it did, and it had gotten to the point where they were starting to have to throw it up a little bit more, and that the time was running out, and they were trying to make some big plays. So that ball was in the air quite a bit, but Malachi made a nice play on it, but it was in the air for a while.
I took a look at the box here, and it was an evenly matched game on the ground, too. 11 first downs for Bucyrus, 10 for Buckeye Central. Total number of yards in the game, you had 382, they had 308. One of the things, though, that just jumps right out at you is the fact that Bucyrus had 185 yards on the ground, 197 yards through the air, and you've been looking for that kind of balance all year.
Sure. It just is, we had a couple long runs, but then we also had a lot of 3 and 4 and 5 yard runs, which it just keeps the chains moving. And as a play caller, it gives you confidence to keep coming back to the run.
All right. Season stats: Malachi is now 47% for 1,658 yards, number 3 in the league, 13 touchdowns. And 7 picks is not that horrible. You figure the number of games he's thrown and the number of passes he's thrown.
Yeah, we've thrown it quite a bit. Most of those picks have probably come in the last 3 or 4 games, but we've played some tough teams, and he's had a lot of pressure on him. But he's done a nice job. The quarter, we ask him to do a lot mentally and physically, and I think he does a nice job.
Blaine Barlow has 123 rushes, averaging he's got 530 yards in the season, averaging 4.4 per carry and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I really...
you stop and think about it, for a team that's not rushed that much, that's not all bad.
No, I really think that Blaine is a very talented kid, and I think that most people...
What grade is he in?
He's a junior.
All right, so he's coming back.
He'll be back, yep. And I really don't know that most people appreciate how good a running back he can be.
All right. Receiving, Joe Rager, 32 receptions, 597 yards, 5 touchdowns. Randy Banks, 31 receptions, 458 yards, 5 touchdowns. And Cam Lewis, 25 receptions, 262 yards, and 1 touchdown. And obviously, you're a passing team.
Yeah, all those guys have different qualities. Joe's long and big and strong, and he's kind of sneaky fast. Randy's really dynamic. Cam's quick. and catches the ball well. So that they each have their strengths, and I do enjoy and try to get the ball to different people. So,
all right, we got young men around the table. We've got Andy Case, Dylan Coupler, Coden Coupler, and Ethan Huff, who hates baseball. What kind of guy are you, anybody? We'll talk to him about that a little bit. That all comes up here in just a moment. Our show brought to you in part on WQEL Facebook, as well as Crawford County Now Facebook, by Lee Plymel, Brad Seibert at the Plymel Insurance Group, Bucyrus and Galleon, Hannah Newton at Wendy's downtown Bucyrus and Upper Sandusky. Also, North Central State College Mansfield, the Crawford Success Center Bucyrus. Tabitha Smith and everybody at Waitcraft Industries, Rod Steiger at Pizza Hut Bucyrus, and Galleon, the host of our show since 1992, and the Burkhardt family at Burkhardt Farm Sales, your Case IH dealer on the Manette New Winchester Road. Let's go first to Andy Case. Andy is a junior and a linebacker, plays offensive line. That's kind of a unique combination. Usually when you think linebacker, you're going to get a guy who is maybe in the offensive backfield. I just don't necessarily think of an offensive lineman as being a linebacker. Is that rather unique?
Yeah.
You don't look like an offensive lineman either.
I'm like a little bit of both. It's like my first year, so like I've
You're
just been
a junior,
into it.
right?
Yeah.
This is your first year playing, or
First year playing football, period.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, how'd you get involved with playing football?
I saw Plumley talked me into it, and
All right.
I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
All right. What were you doing before that? Did you do other sports?
Basically a lot. Yeah, it's like wrestling's one of my main.
All right. Well, wrestling and football go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And what about some others? Is that it? Anything else? Wrestling?
I feel like it takes a little more like physical and mental like awareness to like play this sport compared to wrestling.
Okay.
Because you got to be in the mental state like at all times to play.
We have to deal with other people too, other than just one
Yes.
opponent.
And everyone attacking you, and then they get aggressive, and it makes you aggressive, and you just gotta keep your cool or you mess up.
You've never played football up until this year.
Yep.
And coach recruited you. You don't regret it, do you?
No, I know.
You're coming back then, right?
Yeah, I
God
plan
bless you,
to.
buddy. All right. So, talk to me a little bit about this game. It was a unique game from the standpoint of, as far as listening on the radio, and if you had a chance to watch it on television, it was a fun game to watch as well as to be in.
Yeah. I was like, when I first saw it going, I was like, oh, dude, like, we're down. And I was like, I really hope we can make it back. And then, like, we got to halfway, and then they started picking it up. And I was like, okay, we got this, we're rolling. And then it got really intense third quarter. Because normally third quarter is when we start to drop, like, our mental, like, state. And I'm like, oh, I hope they can keep up with it. And they kept up, like, way better than what they normally do. Like, they were on
Well, they were on the same page as you were.
Yeah.
This was a very good match between a couple of equally matched teams, and I can see how that would work out for you. So, listen, goals for the rest of the year. I'm sure you're going to wrestle again, right?
Yeah.
You wrestle at what weight?
57.
57. All right. Well, listen to you, but I appreciate you coming by. Thanks a lot. All right. And let's see. Next, we got Dylan Coupler, who is the backup quarterback. He's a freshman, and he's a free safety. So, Dylan, talk to me a little bit about being the quarterback as a freshman. You've got at least one more year probably as backup since Malachi.
Yep, correct. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
All right.
Especially like Malachi's go down. It's a lot to take in.
Well, you hope he doesn't go down.
Correct.
But you got to be on call all the time, right?
Right.
So are you? I'm assuming that you're playing quarterback for the JV team virtually
Yes.
all the time.
Yep.
And how is the JV program helping you prepare for the varsity?
We got some good coaches. Siebert, he's really good. It really helps me look and see how the game goes, like from middle school to high school. It's a big step. And Malachi, he definitely did it from 8th grade to automatically freshman year. He was a varsity quarterback, and I'm glad I get to take that extra year to soak in some stuff and know the plays and work things out. JV's really helped too. Seeing the defense, like a lot of high schools, they run the same defense on JV and varsity. So,
All right, have you got any varsity time?
I've gotten a couple reps. Yep, I got a couple reps.
All right, how about your defense, free safety?
I actually I played defensive tackle, upper game, but
O-line?
yeah.
Really?
Defense.
Okay, I mean D-line.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I've been in a couple varsity games as like a Buckeye game, I went in for a couple plays. Randy came out, so I went in for a little bit.
All right, very good for you. Listen, other sports other than football?
Track and basketball.
Okay, and so, keep the health going well.
Right,
and hit the weight room, buddy. Next up, we've got Coden Coupler. Coden is a senior O-line, D-line. Big brother, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and talk to me a little bit about your O-line, D-line this year.
From the very, very start, I knew it was going to be a good work in progress, and I don't think I've ever doubted our line. And Coach Plumley says it a lot. We'll always take our guys, and we'll take the people that we have out there. It really comes down to our O line. All of us have played together since fourth grade.
Okay.
So we've always had that kind of type of connection, and it's really easy to get frustrated with each other. It's really easy to get that type of anger feeling like in the game. I think that really boosts us in a lot of ways, and it keeps us moving forward on both sides of the ball.
All right. How about other sports other than football?
I've this year, I'll bowl this year.
All right.
I've wrestled as well.
All right.
I'm on track, and I thought I'd do baseball this year.
I thought you just told me you didn't like baseball.
I said I played it, but I'm not a watcher.
You don't watch the game
No,
or listen to it. You don't have a favorite professional team. All right. Have you ever been to Jacobs Field?
I don't think I have.
All right, you got to get some tickets, man. Because once you go, you're hooked.
Yeah.
You're hooked.
Yeah,
Because it is a
yeah.
really cool place to go. And for guys like Tim and I, did you ever go to Tim's Little Municipal Stadium?
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
That place
The
was
red
a gun
uniforms.
show.
Yeah.
You know where Municipal Stadium is now?
It's gone, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but you know what they did with it? It's at the bottom of Lake Erie. I'm serious. I'm not. This
Okay.
isn't a joke. They put it on barges. They put Municipal Stadium, which was the same. Look, I'm surprised I have to talk to you guys about this, but where the youth football stadium is right now, that's where Municipal Stadium was built in 1932. Actually started in 1928. They built it for the 28 Olympics, which never happened in Cleveland. And when they knocked it down, they put it on barges next to the lake, took it out about 20 miles, and sunk it.
Wow.
And it's a great place to fish.
Yeah.
I mean, it made a reef, and it's a great place to fish right now. And Municipal Stadium, mostly concrete, beat up steel. It's at the bottom of Lake Erie right now. And you talk to the fishermen up there, it's a great place to fish. You just drop your line, and the fishermen will jump into the boat, from what I understand. So that's kind of cool. Now, next we got Ethan Huff. Ethan Huff, I understand. First of all, Ethan, I was watching ESPN this weekend, and they said something about you being a nose guard. What's the deal on that?
Oh yeah, that's about the whole season. Coach Plumlee's been trying to get me to do some more stuff other than kicking. They've been trying to get me to play some D-line.
Well, how did ESPN get a hold of this?
I couldn't tell you that.
Okay. And nothing to do with the fact that you won't watch baseball either, right?
Yeah, nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with the baseball. What do you, other than football, what do you do?
I do track and then I play soccer too.
All right, there's nothing wrong with that. But, have you ever been up to Jacobs Field?
Is that where the Indians play?
Yeah,
I have been there for a school
and just in
trip.
case you didn't know, Biden lives in the White House.
I've been
That's
up
where
there.
the Indian, you've been to Jacobs Field.
Yeah, it was a school trip. We went up there one for a game.
Yeah, and you didn't get hooked on it then?
No.
Oh, that is a beautiful ballpark. We are so lucky to have that ballpark up there. And for guys who didn't have the opportunity to go to the old Municipal Stadium, that was a cool ballpark, but it had 80,000 seats, and it was built for the Olympics. And it wasn't a bad place for football, except there were a lot of seats that were behind steel poles, but it was a much better place for football than it was baseball. But we're lucky to have Jacobs Field now, which is now called Progressive Field. So, talk to me a little. You were the difference in the ball game, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, at the point that I did make the field goal, I mean, that definitely didn't cross my mind at all that was going to be the main thing that won us the game. I mean, I think that kind of helped with taking the pressure off the kick, too.
Right. And you're a senior this year?
Yes.
So there's no chance you're going to come back as a nose guard?
No.
All right. So basically, if there was nobody left on the bench and they said, we really need you for nose guard, you're going to thumb your nose at the coach.
Yeah, I'd go. I mean, I went in for one play against Cary for senior night. They asked me to
really?
do it, so yeah, I did go.
You'd send him against Cary. I would too, man. Get the daylights. So, all right, well, listen, buddy, congratulations on the field goal. How to make you feel when you know, at that point in time, you didn't know it was the winning 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, It kind of makes you feel good. I mean, you can't take all the credit. I mean, you got to give Malachi some credit for the interception and the defense for putting the stop on that drive. I mean, you can't take very much of the credit because, I mean, it wasn't like a game winner or anything like that.
At that point.
Yeah.
Listen, buddy, I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks a lot. We're going to break for a second. We're going to come back and we're going to talk to Coach about the Mohawk game. Who knows what's going to happen in the Mohawk game? I mean, Mohawk, they've got to be bitterly upset. They've lost the game by just a couple. In fact, they lost in the lost second 2 weeks ago. And then this last week, they got absolutely belted by, was it Colonel Crawford? Colonel Crawford. So we'll talk about Mohawk coming up here in just a second. Show brought to you by Blythe Friedley and Todd McDougal of Friedley and Company Insurance up in Dutchtown, Ted Coder at Monarch Body Shop in New Washington, the Ohio State University Marion, a Big Ten education close to home. Also, Mike Kleinite at Ag Credit Residential Lending, Bucyrus, Mount Gilead, and Marion. Dr. Thomas M. Britton at Clubview Vision Center, Dr. Erica Schieber, Bucyrus Veterinary Service at 222 West Mary Street, and Lou Ann Krebs at River's Edge Embroidery, Screen Printing, Signs, Route 309, right across from the Marion Depot. Coach, let's talk a little bit about Mohawk. That ought to be an interesting game. It's at Mohawk, right?
Correct.
All right. Mohawk, like I said, 2 weeks ago they lost on the last second.
Sure.
Seneca East only has one loss all season.
Yep.
Seneca East has made a living out of pulling games out of the back of their lap in the last second.
Yeah, this year they've had a lot of tight ones.
And Mohawk then got beat by Colonel Crawford last week. They got trounced by Crawford.
Yeah.
And so what do we expect, you know?
Mohawk is a very good team. They had a tough non-league schedule. All three teams they played are really solid, 5 or 6 win teams at least. You know, Mohawk kids, they play hard. They're good
They've been good the last
Yeah, they're really good. They're great athletes. You know, Zayden Fry is, you know, he might be a little banged up. We're expecting him to play and be himself. So, you know, their quarterback's good. They're good up front. Their defense is aggressive. This year they're blitzing quite a bit, playing a little more man coverage. So I expect Mohawk to get after it, and we need to be ready to match their intensity.
All right. Keys to success in this game. Let's face it. The other team's defense is going to, their defense is going to pretty much key on what they think they can take away from you. And most of the time this year it's been the run. So are they going to key on your run this time, or are they going to go after Malachi? What's the scope?
I think pretty much. I think Mohawk sets up their defense to stop the run, as most teams do. But I believe they'll probably get after us up front and make us protected if we're going to throw it. And they typically try to outnumber you in the box to affect the run game. So we got to be ready to go. But as always, I just think the Mohawk kids they play hard and you know they bring it.
All right, Coach, it's always a pleasure. We're going to look forward to your final visit next week. We'll talk about hopefully some success against Mohawk and also what the future holds for next year.
All right, great. Look forward to it.
All right, thanks a lot. Coach Tim Plumley from Bucyrus. Up next, it's the Winford Royals on WQEL. We'll be back in just a moment.